The Bounty Hunters. Pukey and Sally arrive in the infirmary after just a little bit, and Susie Lou is sitting under a scanner that is slowly moving a green beam across her body to check for any problems. Cindy's reaction as to Pukey arriving is to rush over and give him a hug. He kneels down to catch her and lifts her up. "How's everything holding up in the 2 hours I've been gone?" Pukey asks, checking the time, and Cindy laughs. "Well, the eggs are incubating beautifully. They've begun to twitch just ever so slightly," Cindy says, almost vibrating in his arms. "What? The eggs of what your kind twitch before hatching?" Sally asks. "That's right. Here, you sit too. Having a baseline for your sister's health will be a great help," Cindy says, hopping out of Pukey's arms and then pulling Sally along and getting her to sit. "And what about our little guest? How's the tiny wriggler doing?" Pukey asks, even as Cindy activates the scanner and then turns. "She's finally fallen asleep. The severe sunburn is already fading and will be past in a few more hours. I also used a very low-intensity scan, and it seems that her body's particular axiom defenses react very, very poorly to ultraviolet light. I can't tell you the specifics yet. My specialties are prosthetics and surgery, after all. But I have the local network to help, and while much of Mordenon is primitive for one reason or another, it's still got the communication pylons for the LeBlanc Empire in orbit, and they've got all the info I need. I just need time for my search algorithms to sift through the useless stuff to find the good." "So it's the axiom in her that makes her vulnerable to sunlight," Pukey says as he starts walking over to where the tiny figure is sleeping. The area is in shadow to allow the little one to rest in comfort, and he looks down. Where the burns are, the light does not shine through. He can make out the tiny places where Onyx's fur had sheltered the child from the sunlight. Like many, many races the galaxy over, this little mollusk person has hair for some reason. It's short and downy and collects the light pouring from the child's head to give her a pale green halo around her head as she sleeps. Unlike the rest of her, it seems to be bone dry. Pukey wonders at that. "She's cute when she's not screaming, isn't she?" Cindy asks. "You're going to have to look long and hard to find any baby that isn't absolutely adorable while napping." Pukey agrees as he gently reaches down with his prosthetic arm and softly brushes a lock of hair out of the baby's face. She squirms ever so and deflates a bit before reinflating and resting further. "Did the scan tell you anything else?" "Dietary preferences. The species is omnivorous but has a digestive preference towards plants. Likely a lot of roots, moss, and fungus. However, I was able to feed her some leafy greens, and not only is it sitting very well, but it has a few nutrients she was missing," Cindy says, walking up and pressing a button to cause holographic steps to fade in. She walks up them until she's at shoulder height with Pukey. "The species seems to use milk like most. However, this little one is a few months old at least, and is ready to start going for more solid foods. Or at least something pre-chewed. She only has 2.5 teeth. "A half?" Pukey asks, and Cindy reaches down to point at a little nub in the open mouth of the baby. "Half out," she says. She then turns her gaze to the incubators in the corner of the room and smiles. The spherical eggs she had laid and the longer one that Litha had birthed were side by side in their own pods. The whole readout was green across the board. All good. Pukey puts his arm around her. "I'm glad you've got some place to put all that mom energy you've been struggling to burn off. With the chain breaker being so safe and secure, it's been hard on you to find something to do with all that den-making drive. The circumstances could be better, but next time around, Slytherin won't have me fussing him so much. That's good, and also bad. Half the reason he's been in the gun range as much as he has been recently is because you don't like it in there and he wanted some alone time." "I'm not that bad. I never said it was bad. Y'all think they forgot about us?" Sally asked Susie Lou. "We haven't forgotten either of you," Cindy calls back, and Pukey's head snaps around with his eyes wide. "Who are you?" "Really?" Sally asks. "No," he says with a grin. One of the machines gives a ding, and Cindy hops off the stairs and rushes towards the central control of the scanning device. "All right then. Thank you both for your patience. And the verdict is that while Susie Lou isn't hurt or sick, She hasn't been eating enough and could use some more water. So this doctor is recommending a meaty stew and a tall glass of water to rehydrate and get her protein levels back up, Cindy says before pausing and patting her stomach. Also for myself, I missed a meal taking care of our adorable little slug. I see so, Pukey says before Cindy reaches into her coat pocket and pulls out a small remote and presses the button. What is that? She holds up 3 fingers, lowers one, then another, and then points to the door right as it opens, and an automatic stroller floats in. When did you get that? You'll never know, she teases him. I have ways of making you talk. Yes, and those ways involve us needing another one of those. Cindy counters, pointing back to the stroller. Being literally threatened with a good time was not something she had ever prepared for as a little girl. But she was an adaptable woman. But it is effective. I never said it wasn't. Dust's sake, you two! Kiss or knock it off, Sally states, and Pukey shrugs before sweeping Cindy into a bridal carry and kissing her deeply. You're not allowed to be mad when they do what you tell them. Susie Lou chides her sister after a moment, as it becomes very clear that the kiss is not going to be quick or chaste. The worst part is that they ain't forgetting us. They just ain't got no shame, Sally grumps. What do they have to be ashamed of? Susie Lou asks, aside from leaving a starving girl to go hungry while they tongue wrestle. Oh, fine. Be joyless, Cindy chides after they break off the kiss. She then bundles around and gently transfers the sleeping infant to the stroller and activates the hood to keep the light off the little napper. Now then, who wants to eat? So, what's this, and why is it cold? Sally asks as the big frozen dish of something is handed to her. It's cold because we froze it to store it. We'll reheat it when we have a bit for everyone. What it is a chunky landrak stew. The spit's a landrak? Big doofy lizard that has all the meat in its tails. It eats and eats and eats, putting more and more fat and muscle on the tails and can grow them back too, meaning it's a perfect food animal. Just chop off one of its 3 tails and it doesn't even slow down as it grows that one back. The heck does doofy mean? It's a really stupid animal. I mean really stupid, Pukey says. How stupid is stupid? If you were to give it a big bucket of all its favorite foods, it will not eat them. Because if the food is not on the branch, then it doesn't see it as food, Pukey says. Wow, that is stupid, Sally admits. But it's completely harmless, so instead of being annoying, it's more endearing. Hence doofy, but it tastes pretty good and is very healthy. So let's get all these heated up and get eating. Y'all are hungry too? I'm human. We eat a lot more than most races our size. In fact, we generally eat a little more than most Countadors who start off 8 times our size and get bigger, Pukey remarks. Of course, the fact that most humans off our homeworld are highly trained soldiers that need a lot more food than average also helps with that. But that's just nitpicking details at this point. I see, so what do we do with these frozen clumps? Susie Lou asks. Here, this is a basic thermal food projector. Different from what was used back home, and far better to be honest, Pukey says as he guides both women to a small part of the wall and places his and Cindy's meal inside. He then taps it on the toasty setting, and a pale red beam projects from the top and into the frozen stew for about 5 seconds as it rapidly melts. The beam turns off and he pulls out the tray. The numbers and symbols on the side are temperature notations, and the word is just what we generally call it. Warm, toasty, or hot are your best options. What happens if we put our hands in there? Susie Lou asks. It will not turn on until the hand is removed, Pukey says. And if we stick it in while it's going, it turns off. These things are pretty idiot-proof. You need to be extra special stupid to hurt yourself with it, Pukey says as he sits down at the nearby table where Cindy is waiting. And how'd they do that? Sally asks as she watches her food heat up to a nice hot temperature and moves out of the way as Susie Lou decides to have some nice warm soup instead. By breaking the machine and turning off the safety features, Pukey answers before looking to the right as the door to the mess hall opens and Cindy starts waving Letha over. What the? Sally asks as she sees the massive synthetic Nagasha slither in. I didn't. Have y'all had your everything replaced? Oh, no, I haven't. I was made this way. Litha answers as she settles in next to the table and leans down to kiss Pukey. I am Litha Powercoil, your eye in the sky and the voice in your ear when you're working with the Chainbreakers. Also, I'm the chaplain of the ship, so if your spirit needs tending, I can certainly soothe your pain. Sally pauses, clearly looks from side to side and considers. Thinks then turns to Litha. The biggest bit of religion I've run into are the girls that preach that by making machines to do the work of a lass, y'all take something from the lass. And I am a sister of the synthetic ascendancy, or the synth ascendancy. We believe that evolution and learning are just two parts of becoming something greater. Technology is part of it as well. With Cindy being a specialist in prosthetics and Gregory being a cyborg who has grown stronger for his lacking body parts. They're great examples of my faith, even if they don't fully share it. Litha says, smiling at the two. Any other questions? You were built? Susie Lou asks in fascination, as she clearly starts taking Litha apart with her eyes. I was. While we still struggle to make a full, actual person from scratch on a computer, we can copy someone. I was copied from Lisa Powercoil before she could fully be made into a synth herself. Wait, you can make someone into a synth, is it? As in, no more meat? Just metal and what else are you made of? Plastics, ceramics, carbon fiber, nanotubes, a great deal of Kutha totems, and many, many other bits. The full list is rather extensive, Litha says. And yes, it's very possible for someone to become a fully synthetic person. But the final few touches take time, and rushing it can kill them. What part is that? Susie Lou asks in fascination. Up here, Litha says, tapping her head. The mind and consciousness may live in the brain, but it's not stuck there. You can shift it to a machine, but it moves at its own pace, and rushing it can only hurt it. That's incredible, Susie Lou gushes before beginning to grill Litha about everything about synths. Sally has to remind her to eat more than once.